Hi Spice Wood kiddos, it's Miss Rayborn here. So let's talk about how we're gonna draw a sugar skull. The first thing I wanna say is you're gonna have a nice big piece of paper, and it's up to you whether you want to turn it so that it's tall and skinny or whether you want to make it go side to side and wide. Miss Rayborn is gonna go with side to side so that you can see the whole paper, because if I turned mine the other way, you wouldn't be able to see the whole thing. Next, I want to start with pencil. Please always start with pencil. This might be a little bit tricky for the symmetry of it. So you want to be able to erase if you make any mistakes, right? That's what those are for. So when I start to draw the shape of my sugar skull, I'm going to start as close to the top of the paper as I can, and I'm kind of trying to find the middle of my paper so that I can keep my design symmetrical or the same on both sides. So I started there, and then I'm also going to do, here's the bottom part of my sugar skull. Now when I look at a sugar skull, it sort of comes down on one side, each side like this, and notice I'm kind of going back and forth. I draw from one side and then I draw on the other side because I'm doing my best to keep it kind of symmetrical. Now I've noticed that most of the time they're not totally connected like this. There's often a separate part or piece for the chin, so I'm gonna leave this open, I think, like this on the edges, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in the sort of squared off part of the chin. So this is the basic shape of my sugar skull. The next thing I noticed about a sugar skull was that it had an upside down heart nose. So to help myself out, I'm just going to turn my paper over and around like this, so that I don't have to try to draw an upside down heart. I'm just going to turn the paper so that I can draw the heart the right direction, make it a little easier on myself. And then I'll just flip it back around so that it's going the correct direction. So I drew in the nose first. I think I might go ahead and kind of draw in the line for where my teeth are going to be. And one of the things that Miss Rayborn really likes to do, because I'm trying to keep it the same on both sides, is if I draw one tooth on this side, then I'm going to draw one on the other side. If I'm trying to keep it the same on both sides, right? Then I might draw one over here and one over here, then one over here, then one over here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. If I draw a bottom tooth here, I'm going to go over here and make a bottom tooth, trying to make it kind of the same size. I'm going to have to do a little bit of erasing, of course, to keep it the same. Then one over here and one over here. One over here. Maybe I'll put that one over there, and then one over there to kind of keep them similar or the same, as close to symmetrical as I can. Another thing we saw and observed about sugar skulls is that they have flower eyes. So I'm going to start, this is going to be the center of my flowers, and I'm just doing my best to make them about the same size. They're never going to be perfect, but I'm just sort of sketching lightly with my pencil first. I can erase away the parts and pieces that don't fit. And then I'm going to think about the shape of them. I think I want to make mine kind of like a poppy kind of a flower. That's a flower that Miss Rayborn really likes, that has kind of a rippled edge to it. So I did one petal on the top. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw that petal on the top over here, about the same size. Not perfect, but I'm trying my best. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw the second petal. And to try and keep it symmetrical, I'm going to come over here to this side and try to draw the same one. I'm going to go for my third petal, which comes out and it's kind of rounded like this. And then I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to try to draw about the same shape and size. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to be able to tell that I tried to keep them the same. And again, I go down, I can kind of measure over, it needs to come down to about here. And I'm adding in my petals. And again, I started with pencils so that when I make mistakes, because I will for sure, right? I can just erase them away. We're going to have a chance to add color to them in a little bit, but for now, I think I'm going to make mine have a kind of a cool spirally kind of a line in the center. But for now, I can erase away what I don't like. So I think I'm just gonna put just a little kind of a petal in between, a little smaller petal. I can go over here and do that on all of those. Okay, now I can start thinking about the lines and patterns and designs that we saw. If I wanted to, I could have another kind of a flower coming out of the center. Let's see, I had 1, 2.5 flowers, petals over here. So 1, 2.5 going off that direction. If I think about making patterns and lines, I would want to do one side and then try to do the other. Again, it's not going to be exactly perfect. It's quite difficult to get them exactly the same on both sides, but again, that's why we have our eraser. So if I drew 1, 2, 3 lines over here, I would come over here and do 1, 2, 3. If I drew half of a heart over here, I would do the half on the other side. It's not perfectly even, but you can definitely tell that I'm trying with my designs, okay? Now I also have these big, beautiful spaces out here to the side where I could make some corner pattern designs if I want to. I could add flowers and patterns out here as well. Up to you, but you would want to make sure that you do the same on all 4 corners, okay? So after I filled in all of my shapes and patterns, which of course I haven't, but I want you to get to drawing and not watch me all day, the next thing I would do is go to whatever you brought for color from your classroom. You brought with you possibly markers, possibly crayons, possibly colored pencils. I have some crayons here, so that's what I'm going to use. And now I'm going to trace over my pencil lines for my sugar skull. I'm going to do some outlining of my space now that I've had a chance to be sure that I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to trace over all the little kind of parts and details. Obviously, Miss Rayborn's is not done. It's definitely not full enough to be finished with patterns and details, but I want you to see what the next plan, look, I'm even adding some kind of fun curly loopy lines in there as I go. So after I finish with all my line patterns, I would trace around them with black so that they can really stand out. Now, after I've traced all of my lines in black, I have an opportunity to add some color to them. So remember that sugar skulls are really bright and colorful. It's one of my favorite things about them. Things are not necessarily a realistic or natural color. Your sugar skull could be hot pink, it could be turquoise, it could be a white skull with really bright and beautiful colors and patterns on it. It's up to you. So after you go over all of your line designs and patterns that you drew for yourself with pencil, and you trace over them in black, I'm going to add some more detail and pattern on this. You can start to add some color. Now, as you can see, I've really only gotten enough probably patterns and designs on this one from about here upwards. I'm really hoping that you'll use a lot more, but like I said, I want you to be getting to work. So when I start to add some color to it, I would want to be sure that I was symmetrical. So if I made this flower petal over here red, just like I did when I was drawing, I would want to go over here and make this one red as well. Okay, so as you're adding color to your sugar skulls, remember that be creative. It does not have to be a realistic color of a flower or an eye or a nose or the skull itself. It's completely and totally up to you. I would encourage you to use your whole paper as you're working today. And remember that we're going to turn these in so that Miss Rayborn can see them, because I can't wait to see what beautiful things you've created, but also so that you can get a participation grade for today. So make sure that on the back of your paper is your name, your grade, your number for your grade is great. And then also your number, what seat number are you sitting at today? The same as your number seat in line on the back of your paper, so I can give you your participation grade. And then of course, I'll pass them back later. So I might switch and put these little inside in between petals and make them orange. But again, I'm working on keeping it symmetrical, so anything I do on one side, I have to go and do on the other side. So I'm gonna let you get off to creating and we'll pass out papers. Please remember to start first with a pencil in case you make mistakes. We all do, right? We need the opportunity to be able to fix them and try again. So start with pencil. The next step would be a black outline with whatever materials you brought. Then you can start to add in some color. So I hope you enjoy your time today celebrating Dia de los Muertos with some sugar skulls. I cannot wait to see them when I get back. So enjoy your time and bye for now.